So maybe. So this was like from the seniors. I don't know if you ever got to it or read it, but like I'm only showing you this because of this idea of like a coin and a basic income and all that stuff, right?
Okay.
So uh, it was part of like the vision of the seniors to create an endowment that would, you know, potentially like, all the things that, like the way that it would have worked is we set, I don't know if you know this, but there's some research that shows, even though I've recently read research that goes against this, but anyway. So there's some research that shows that after a certain amount of like the wealth, you don't get happier, like it's diminishing returns. And at different cities is different. So at LA, it was $204,000 a year. $204,000 a year. And after that, it just,
It doesn't
you
matter
just didn't get
anymore.
happier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this idea that I had was that maybe what we could do, what I wanted to do with the seniors is do this thing called the Seniors Pledge, where we all pledge, both investors and employees, that is the cap that we get paid, both as employees and what we give to our investors, right? And then every dollar after that goes into this endowment, and this endowment goes and invests, in ESG companies. ESG is a rating that basically rates companies according to their environmental, social, and sort of like
Cool.
sustainable like characteristics and all that stuff, right? So you make sure that you're not essentially investing in like fossil fuel companies or something. And then this endowment and this like investment chunk generates investment income. And then what happens is that as you keep building that endowment, you start using it to start lowering the costs of both the basically the cost of the offerings that you give to the public, right? So you get to a point where you're able to offer the services for free. Why? Because you have a massive endowment that essentially like takes up the cost for them. Or you get to the point where it's becoming like the Met. And if you go to the Met, you've probably been there. It's pay as you wish. They say, yeah, it's $15, $20, but if you don't have money, you can still go in. Why? Because the Met has a massive endowment that believes that high art should be accessible to everyone.
For New
right?
Yorkers
That's
only.
why.
That's the fact.
Yeah.
But I get
Yeah,
it.
well,
It's a good
I know.
example.
I know, but essentially, like, that's why it's there. And what I was thinking is that maybe we could do the same thing.
Yeah.
And in some way, like after a certain amount of time, what we could do is we could actually provide a basic income to all the people who are providing the kind of services that we want the public to get for free, right? So that way, you give a basic income to like a healer, like a shaman or whatever, he's covered. And then the only like thing that he has to do is just do his work.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to like, depend on like doing marketing, and like all these people don't want to do those things anyway, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, I would even say that like in many of the people that need those people the most can afford them anyway.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm completely on board with like the idea of like how do we get to a place of abundance to do it. I only showed you this because this is like one way to do it, where you have an investment, you have an endowment that generates basically like investment income. And this investment income basically becomes like, where we get our basic income, right? So in this model, like there is no crypto, right?
Yeah, right.
But of course, like, they're not like, mutually incompatible. So you could essentially like use crypto as well. In fact, that's the only reason, or that's the main reason why I showed you Rally, right? Rally basically is like BitCloud, only it was built like, BitCloud is more like, top down, whereas Rally is like like no bottom up.
Yeah, right.
So more like it's not for like BitCloud, the way that it was designed, it was essentially like if a bunch of elites decided to like create such a thing, whereas like Rally is it seemed to have like the better ethos. So I don't know essentially like which one or which platform like would do this, but I do think that there's something to be explored there. And maybe there could be like a creative special force that essentially is like created to figure out which one to use or whether we can create like our own. Now, I do happen to be friends with two experts on DAOs, right? And one of them actually wanted to see this presentation, but like she didn't book a meeting. So, you're not booking a meeting, I'm not gonna show it to you, and I'm not gonna like chase you to do this. But I could like ping her again. She's probably busy. But the other guy is like a closer friend, and he is an expert on DAO, and he has written papers and all that stuff. And he even basically wrote. He was even in the team for Villages 3.0, which is like a team to like come up with like the next level of like conscious community and in like physical villages. Yep. So he could help with like DAOs and crypto and all that stuff. So I definitely like think that your intuition is correct. It's just that I think that we need to like create a work group to like scout through all the available offerings, and then once we do, then we can start using that as the backbone for the rewards, right? Because you're right. I think that in some ways, like one of the reasons why, like I think that many of those people like don't collaborate is that there isn't a very good like incentive structure and there isn't a great way of like essentially putting a price or a value on collaboration and providing the right incentives, right? I mean, one of the reasons why I don't know if you ever actually saw you ever see it?
Which one?
Let's see. Do you ever see this map? So one of the reasons why essentially I got like all those tools with like lifetime deals and often like with unlimited
that's
or like
the one. Yeah.
That's a lot, right? That's a lot. Yeah. And I actually even bought some like today again. But I didn't actually buy. I returned like one thing and like swiped it for the other because I felt that it was a better deal. So I basically today I bought this thing, which is essentially another sort of like onboarding academy, customer training classes kind of thing. Really cool. Looks beautiful and very simple. Anyway, the reason though I'm showing you these things is because I'm creating a software commons, right? Yeah, and this software commons basically is, okay, so if you want to be part of like this team that we're creating, like, one incentive is that you're going to be getting access to all those tools. But the reason why we're giving them, like we're sharing them with you is because we want to create this sort of coordination so we can actually work together and collaborate and have higher impact rather than creating these individual kingdoms. Which often, will never get bigger to have enough impact and produce enough change to get to the point where we start like, living a very different life, which is kind of like my goal. Like, so for example, I want to show you like some stuff here. So I have this tool. Essentially takes text and turns it into podcasts automatically with like text to speech like a technology, but with really good voices that sound natural. Nice. Or for example, like these this other tool that I have here, what is it? I think it's called there you go. Pictory, right? So what Pictory does basically is you literally like give it a bunch of text. And it goes out into Shutterstock and a bunch of other like content companies that it has deals with, it has like a partnership with.
Mm-hmm.
And using artificial intelligence, it picks pictures that match your text and creates a little video presentation and music with those pictures and your text.
Nice.
So literally within like a few minutes, you can have like a short video that expresses an idea that you wrote in text with music and videos and photos that were selected by AI. Why am I?
Oh no. I'm doing it again.